Hey everybody, it's Scott Shetler here at Extreme Performance Training Systems in Atlanta, and welcome to this week's episode of Strength and Health TV. This week I want to talk about some different tips and tricks to help improve your pull-up performance. Pull-ups are probably one of the hardest upper body exercises to do. Sometimes they're often referred to as the upper body squat because nobody likes to do them, but it's one of those exercises that yields some of the best results in your training. And I really think that if you spend a lot of time developing your strength and ability to perform pull-ups, you're going to see some huge results not only in your upper back strength, but also in your upper back muscular development. Just to give you an idea, many years ago when I was first starting out in personal training, I worked with a client. I remember I'm a big fan of Charles Poliquin, and I read a lot of his articles that he would write for Muscle Media 2000 back in the day, then when he switched to Testosterone, the online bodybuilding magazine, I guess it is now. He would often refer to the pull-ups as one of the best or the king of the upper back exercises. And I remember he had written an article about, I think it was called something like No More Geek Back Training or something like that. If you know Charles in a sense of humor, he often writes like that. But it basically listed 7 or 8, maybe even 9 exercises that he recommended for the upper back, and all but one were variations of the pull-up. You had overhand grip pull-ups, you had underhand grip pull-ups, you had mixed grip pull-ups, staggered grip pull-ups, sternum pull-ups, I mean all kinds of variations in the pull-up. And then I think the other exercise was a one-arm dumbbell row with some sort of rowing movement. But the idea is he wasn't recommending lat pull-downs, he was recommending pull-ups for improvement in upper back muscle and strength. And in the article he kind of challenged trainers by saying that if a trainer's worth their salt, they can take a woman who has appreciable levels of body fat, so somebody who's not carrying around a lot of extra body weight or anything like that, should be able to take a woman who is fairly fit and get her to go from 0 pull-ups to 12 pull-ups in 12 weeks. So I had a female client I was working with who was really interested in strengthening her back, and I said, would you want to try doing this with me? And she said, yeah. And after 12 weeks, she was able to do 11 pull-ups. So not only did she improve her ability to do something that she couldn't do, but what was amazing was the levels of development in the musculature of her upper back. Now, she wasn't carrying around a lot of body fat. I think she weighed around 120, and I think her body fat was under 20% at the time. She was had just a typical runner's physique, but she developed a tremendous amount of muscle mass in those 12 weeks by adding pull-ups into her program. So I'm a big fan of pull-up. It's helped my general fitness clients and all my athletes do, and particularly the athletes who are concerned with relative strength or strength in relation to body weight. I think with pull-ups, a lot of times people are afraid to get into them because they can't do any, so they don't know where to start. So if we just look at how to get started with pull-ups if you can't do any, there's a lot of ways that you can do it. All you need is a pull-up bar and a bench or a chair or something to step up, and you can begin by doing negative pull-ups or just focusing on the eccentric phase of the movement, which is the lowering phase. So what the idea is you're going to step up on the box, you're going to step up on the bench, and you're going to get your chin up over the bar. So holding on to the bar really tight, create a lot of tension in your grip, a lot of tension in the forearm and the biceps in the back, and squeeze really tight. Hold that for a few seconds, and then as slow as you can, lower yourself down all the way down to a dead hang. Now, when I refer to dead hang when I'm working with people on their pull-ups, I'm not talking about where your arms are fully extended and your shoulders are being tractioned out of the socket or anything like that. I still like to keep some tension around the shoulder joint. So I think you can go to a full extension in the elbow without dislocating the shoulders as you're doing a quote-unquote dead hang. So when I refer to dead hang, it's just full extension at the elbow joint, not with the body completely relaxed as you're hanging onto the pull-up bar, because I don't personally believe that's very good for your shoulders from a health perspective. So lower yourself as slow as you can all the way down to the dead hang position, then release your grip, shake your arms out, and then do another rep. Generally, I'll start people with 5 of the negatives done in succession, and then they might go do some other movements or continue on with their workout, then come back and do another set of 5. But I like to get 3 to 5 sets of those 5 negatives for the first couple of workouts. In addition to that, if you've got a training partner or you're working with a trainer, one of the things that they can do is do a partner-assisted pull-up, where you grab onto the bar and you start to do a pull-up or a chin-up, and the trainer provides just enough push to either they'll push up on the back, or they'll grab, you'll hook your feet together, and they'll just give you enough to enough resistance to push against with your feet so that you are still doing the work and they're just helping you through the sticking points of the pull-up to get your chin up over the bar, and then they let go and then you do the negative. So that's another way to begin building the concentric strength to get your chin up over the bar. And usually a week or two of that is enough to get you to the point, if you're doing enough volume in those exercises, like I said, 3 to 5 sets of about 3 to 5 reps, or 3 to 5 sets of 5 reps, so about 15 to 25 reps per workout, usually a couple times a week, is enough to get you to the point where you can finally do one unassisted pull-up or chin-up. Then once you can do that, usually what I recommend is to just do 1 rep periodically throughout your workout. So instead of looking at it like I need to do 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 5 or whatever with the pull-ups, usually what I recommend is if you're going to go in and train upper body and you're going to do some bench presses and you're going to do some rows and you're going to do some, shoulders, biceps, triceps, whatever, in between as many sets as you can handle, go over to the pull-up bar and do 1 rep, and then get down, go do the rest, go do another set of bench or whatever, come back, do a rep, so that by the end of the workout, you've done a lot of single reps in the pull-up, and that's how you can begin building your volume to the point that you can do 2 pull-ups and then 3 pull-ups and so on. And once you can get to the point where you can do about 3 or 4 pull-ups, then you're gonna start doing 2 reps. So you take about half your max. Now there was an article that I came across early on written by Pavel Tsatsouline called Greasing the Groove. He called it the GTG method. He used pull-ups as an example, but he also referenced in the article about how you could do this with other exercises, like more strength exercise, like the bench press and things like that. But I found the GTG method to be very effective for pull-ups and push-ups in particular, like the body weight exercises where you're concerned with doing, maybe doing a lot of reps, like in a military fitness test or something like that. And basically what the GTG method is once you can do a few pull-ups to the point where you actually have half of a max to work with. So for instance, if you could do 4 reps, you're going to do 2 reps every single time you come up to the pull-up bar. Now he talked about maybe putting in a doorway chin-up bar in your apartment or your house, and every time you, maybe in your bedroom, so every time you walk by it, you do 2 reps or something like that. Do it into a room that you're going to be going in and out of fairly regularly, so that again you're getting that high volume of repetitions throughout the day. For me, it's pretty easy to do because I'm in a training center all day and I can walk by a pull-up bar and grab it and just do a couple of reps and be on my way. But greasing the groove is a very effective way. Basically what you're doing is you're looking at the pull-up as a skill, and you're developing your skill by exposing yourself to that movement pattern on a fairly frequent basis. The key being that you're never working yourself to fatigue. So if we take half the max, you should never be working yourself to failure or fatigue. And if you just expose yourself to those movements throughout the day, you're increasing your volume dramatically. So in a nutshell, that's the greasing the groove method. And actually, if you can find that article online, I definitely recommend checking it out. There's some very good info in that article. So again, that's usually where I start people, is once they can do 1 or 2 pull-ups, we're going to do them a little bit more frequently throughout the workout. And if they have the ability to do pull-ups, like maybe they got a pull-up bar at home, or maybe they're working in a fitness center or something like that, if they've got access to a pull-up bar all day, I really recommend the greasing the groove method if possible. If not, just doing them throughout your workout really frequently in between sets is a great way to do it. So that usually takes care of up to about 5 reps or so in the pull-up. And then once we get to the point where you can do 6, maybe 8 reps in succession, then what I usually do is plug the pull-up into the program as its own exercise. So now, instead of doing a couple of reps in between sets of benches and shoulders and stuff throughout your upper body workout, what you're going to do is actually plug the pull-up in as its own exercise with, maybe if your max is 8, we're going to do 4 sets of 4 or 5 sets of 3 or something like that. Maybe superset with some shoulders or some opposing muscle groups is fine, but we're going to have more of a set and rep scheme that we're going to follow in the workout. And even then, I still have no problem with doing a couple extra reps here or there throughout the workout, again, just to build that volume, because I really think higher volume is the way to go when we're talking about body weight pull-ups and chin-ups. So we usually do, maybe half the max. If you can do 8 pull-ups, we're going to do sets of 4, maybe 5 sets of 4, or we're going to do 4 sets of 4, 6 sets of 4, something like that. Get about 15 to 25 reps or so in the workout. And then over time, when we get to the point that you can maybe knock out 10 or 12 pull-ups, then I'm going to start looking at adding some form of external resistance. Usually what we're going to do is we're going to put a chin dip belt on with a chain where we can attach a weight plate or a dumbbell or something to it to start adding load, and then we're going to cut our reps way down and maybe focus on doing sets of 2 or 3 and building up to maybe sets of 5 using some form of external resistance to help build up the strength. So generally at that point, we'll have one day where we focus more on the strength and focus on using external resistance. Then the other day we're going to do a little bit more of a volume day where we're going to do higher reps or higher sets and reps in the pull-up with just body weight. And that, once you can get up to that point, you're going to start making some serious progress in your upper back strength and upper back muscular development with the pull-up exercise. Now there's tons of ways when we talk about the volume. So the strength day, generally we'll focus on either chin-ups or pull-ups. I don't get too, like with the mixed grip or the stagger grip or anything like that. I don't get too involved with some of the variations or like rope pull-ups or anything like that on the strength day, because most of the people that I work with just aren't strong enough to do that kind of stuff. And I think unless you're really like looking at doing, something that involves like a lot of rope climbing or rock climbing or something where you need a special grip strength in addition to the upper back strength, it's really not that applicable to most people. So what I do is I look at the volume day for adding variations in the grip, grip spacing, staggering the grip, and doing variations of the pull-up to help add some variety to the training so you're not using the same movement pattern over and over. So some of the things that we do to improve the volume day, one of my favorite things is what Charles Poliquin recommended as a mixed grip extended set of pull-ups. So generally what we do is we take 4 grips. We start with a pull-up grip, palms facing away from the body with a wide grip on the bar, and then we rest for about 10 seconds. Generally what we're going to do is, let me back up real quick. If say your max is 10 reps, we're going to start with about 2, maybe 3 reps at each of these 4 grips. So we're going to be getting about 8 reps per set. And then once we can knock out, say, 3 sets of 2s, then we're going to go up to 3s. And if we can get 3s for all 4 sets at each, or all 3 sets at each of the 4 grips, then we're going to go up to 4s. But if we start out and our goal is 3s, and maybe you get 3 through the first set of 4, 3 through the second set of 4, then on the last set you're starting to fatigue and you can only get 2s. We're going to stay at the 3s until we can get 3s all the way across, then move up to 4s, and that's how we're going to progress this variation. So again, we're going to use 4 grips. We're going to go with a overhand or a pull-up grip, wide grip. Then we're going to rest for about 10 seconds after we do those 2s. Then we're going to bring the hands in. And we're going to do our 2 or 3 reps with an overhand pull-up grip in about a shoulder width grip. Then we're going to rest for about 5 to 10 seconds, shake it out after we do our 2 or 3 reps that we're hitting. Then we're going to go with an underhand grip about shoulder width, so a chin-up grip, and we're going to do our 2 or 3 reps, whatever our goal is for the workout. Then we're going to rest for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then we're going to go with a close underhand grip. So those are the 4 grips. Wide palms out, medium palms in, and then very close with the palms in. Again, you're going to rest about 5 to 10 seconds between each grip. You're going to start off with somebody, like I said, if you can do 10 pull-ups in a row, you're going to do about 2 reps per grip for about 3 sets or so. And then once you can get all 3 sets at 2s, then you're going to go up to 3s. If you can do 3s for all 3 sets, then you go to 4s and so on. And your volume will add up very, very quick doing that. And usually after you do a couple of weeks of that mixed grip extended set, you go back, test your max, you're going to be able to do even more pull-ups. I really think that somebody who is of average body size, I'm not talking about like super heavyweights or anything like that, but if you're of average body size, fairly lean and muscular, I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't be able to knock out 10 reps in the pull-up, just straight, strict pull-ups or chin-ups. I would say even 15 to 20 would be a more desirable target for somebody who's of average body size. Again, if you're a super heavyweight or carrying around a lot of body fat, it may be a little bit harder, but I do know some big guys, especially some linemen, football players or whatever, who've done pull-ups their whole life, who even weighing about 300 pounds could knock out 8-10 pull-ups, but they had built into that weight. It wasn't like they started doing it after they put on all that body mass. So I really think that if you spend some time on the pull-up, you can get a lot of benefits from it. So that mixed grip extended set is one of the things that I like to do on the volume day. We've even gone so far as to attach, for external resistance, we'll attach stretch bands to a weightlifting belt and anchor them down at the power rack so you're pulling up against the bands. That helps accommodate the resistance. We've experimented with a lot of different forms of external resistance in here and seen a lot of great results, even to the point where I've been able to get some of my athletes to do plyometric pull-ups where they're actually launching off the bar, and even to the point where they can launch off the bar, clap, grab the bar, and drop back down into the pull-up. One of the things that I do avoid, though, is kipping. I'm not a big fan of the kipping pull-up. I know if you're into CrossFit, you're probably very familiar and you've probably done a lot of kipping pull-ups. I just don't really see how kipping your body and using momentum to get your chin over the bar is doing anything for your back muscles. It's more of just like popping your body to get your chin up. It's a very efficient way to get your head up over the bar, but you're really not developing any musculature as a result, which is why people can do tons and tons of reps in the kipping pull-up, yet they have a hard time doing 10 strict bodyweight pull-ups. I really think that if you're gonna have to do kipping pull-ups, say maybe you compete in CrossFit events where the kipping pull-up is an event that's tested, I think it'd probably be wise to spend some time practicing the movement and developing the technique to do it as properly as possible. But I would spend the bulk of my time building up strength in the pull-ups, because the stronger you are in the pull-ups, the more kips you should be able to do, because it's just a very, very simplistic form of pull-ups. I mean, it really requires not much upper body strength to do it. So my other hang up with the kipping pull-ups is I really think it can be bad on the shoulders when you're doing tons of reps and tons of volume. When you just kip your body up and you let yourself drop, that impact on the shoulder, that tugging and that high force, tugging on the shoulder joint may not be the best thing for the shoulders when you're talking about doing tons and tons of volume. So like I said, if you have to do kipping pull-ups, if you compete in CrossFit events or something like that, I would be smart about how I program them. I definitely practice the skills that you're going to have to compete in and treat it like a skill, but I really wouldn't train it a whole lot. Maybe as you're getting closer to competition, maybe start doing some higher reps just to condition yourself to go for a longer duration with it. But I would spend the bulk of my time doing strict pull-ups, building strength in the lats, the biceps, the shoulders, the posterior part of the shoulder, the forearm, and the grip and things like that. I think you're getting a much better carryover to any type of pull-up that you choose to do. So pull-ups are not just for rock climbers or other athletes. I mean, anybody. I think of that if you're at a decent strength to body weight ratio, I really think you're going to benefit a lot from pull-ups. Hopefully you've gotten some tips and learned some different things about implementing pull-ups and programming in your training. One of the things I didn't talk about that I also like to do is some band-assisted pull-ups. Again, if you're having a hard time pulling your chin up over the bar, you could take heavy-duty, like the jump stretch bands or the bands that are available from Westside Barbell or EliteFitness.com that are big, thick rubber band style. You choke them around a pull-up bar, and then you can either stand in them or just put your knee in it, so you get a little bit of assistance out of the bottom. But then as you get going, because of band shrinkage, the band doesn't help as much as you get closer to the top, so you're pulling more of your body weight over the top of the bar. So you can maybe start stepping in the band, and then you're getting a lot of stretch by doing that. And then if you just loop it around your knee, you're going to take a lot of stretch out of the band. And then once you can do a decent number with the knee in the band, then maybe you go to a lighter band. You start over with your foot in it, then the knee, and so forth, and you just work your way to the point that you're not using bands anymore. But again, especially early on when you're not able to do a ton of reps in succession, I think half your max for lots of volume is the way to go as far as building that base with the pull-ups. We can get creative with the pull-ups too. I remember I used to work with a lot of martial artists, particularly jiu-jitsu guys and MMA fighters. And the jiu-jitsu guys that compete in gi competition, one of the things that we like to do, because grabbing the gi was such a important part of their grappling training, what we would do is we would take an extra gi and we'd hang it over the top of a pull-up bar and have them just really lock their fingers into the gi and do their pull-ups on the gi, so that not only were we building the back strength, but we were also building some specific grip strength that they would need. And that was a way to kind of focus on training economy, so we didn't have to do a lot of grip work at the end of the session, because I really felt for fighters and for jiu-jitsu guys that they really needed to spend most of their time doing their specific skill training. We tried to be as efficient as we possibly could with the strength and conditioning. We didn't want them doing 100 different exercises, and that worked out really well. I remember one of the guys I worked with, Jason, who I think is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu now, but he was a purple belt when he was competing and training with me. He was doing the gi pull-ups, and when he first started doing them, he could barely do a set of 5. And I just remember one day he's training, I'm working with somebody, I look over, and he's hanging upside down doing almost an inverted pull-up, and then he puts the gi into like a figure 4 leg lock as he's hanging upside down. Then he lowers himself down and he starts doing more pull-ups. It was pretty cool to see not only the back strength that he was able to develop with that exercise, but the incredible finger strength and grip strength that it developed too. So again, hopefully when you're looking at how you can plug pull-ups and chin-ups and various types of these body weight pull movements into your training, get creative with it. If you've got to climb ropes or something, do a lot of pull. Hang a rope over a bar and do pull-ups on the ropes. You can hang towels over the bar and grip the towels. You could grab the bar with one hand. You could grab the rope with the other and do kind of a staggered grip type of pull-up. That's a good way to progress to doing one-arm pull-ups. There's many different ways that you can plug pull-ups into your training. If you've got parallel grips, or if you've got like a football bar or a Swiss bar from Elite Fitness that has parallel grips, we just put those on top of our power rack and brace it against the cross brace at the top, and we use that as a parallel grip pull-up attachment. So again, with a little bit of thought, you can get really creative with how you do your pull-ups and how you plug them into your workout, and it should give you tons of variety when looking at adding in some good upper back training with your training program. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gave you some tips and ideas on how to implement or how to begin your pull-up training, or if you're already doing it, hopefully you got some ideas on how to continue it or change things up to help your progress continue. Again, I really think it's a great exercise to spend a lot of time developing and working into your training, and once you develop it as a skill, don't take it out. Continue to progress with it and just keep getting stronger, and you should see some really great results. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and until next week, and if you got any questions about the video, leave them in the comments section below. If you got any suggestions for future topics or anything that you want me to cover or questions that you want answered, please feel free to either send those to me privately in an email, or you could leave those in the comments as well. All my info is going to be in the description under the video, and until we check in with you next week, as always, stay strong and stay healthy.